A gray morning in the Italian hills, October 1957. In a quiet spa town called Montecatini, a heavy, soft-faced Frenchman in a dark suit is walking slowly between the thermal baths. He is 52 years old. He is the most famous designer alive. 7 months earlier, he became the first man of his trade to appear on the cover of Time magazine, and his name is sewn into the lining of dresses in every capital in the world. He has 3 days left. Nobody in that spa town knows it. He does not know it either. But a sentence has been sitting in the back of his mind for almost 40 years. A sentence spoken to him at a village fair on the coast of Normandy when he was a boy of 14 by a woman reading his palm for coins. He never forgot it. He built the largest fashion house on earth around it, and he never told the public what it was. This is the story of a man born into money who lost every last franc of it. A man who sold drawings on the street to buy bread. A man who did not design a single dress professionally until he was past 40, and who then built, in 10 short years, a house that today is worth many tens of billions. The dark part is not how he lost everything. The dark part is who he was really taking orders from once he got it back. To understand that, we have to go back to a pink and gray villa on a cliff above the sea. Subscribe before we do. This one goes darker than the name on the shop window suggests. Granville, Normandy, 1905. The house is called Les Rums, and it stands on the edge of a cliff facing the English Channel, painted a strange, soft pink with gray stone trim. The wind off the water never stops. Below the garden wall, the sea works at the rocks. Christian Dior is born here on the 21st of January into serious, careful, provincial money. His father, Maurice, runs a fertilizer business. It is not glamorous work. It is enormously profitable. The Dior name in Granville means factories, contracts, and a family that does not discuss its accounts. His mother, Madeleine, is the one he watches. She is elegant, exacting, and remote, and she spends her energy on the garden at Les Rums, forcing roses and lilies out of thin soil. He follows her through it. He learns the names of flowers before he learns anything useful. For the rest of his life, whenever he is frightened, he will reach for a flower. Then, at 14, at a charity fair in Granville, the fortune teller takes his hand. By his own account, she told him 3 things: that he would one day find himself with no money at all, that women would be the making of him, and that through women he would earn a great deal and travel a great deal. He was a boy from a fertilizer family standing in a field in Normandy. It should have meant nothing to anyone. He carried it for the next 38 years. The family moves to Paris. Christian wants to be an architect. His father refuses outright. No son of the Dior family is going to draw buildings, so he is sent to study political science and pointed at a career as a diplomat. He is miserable at it. He drifts through the Paris of the 20s, thin and shy and surrounded by painters, until he wears his father down. Maurice Dior agrees to fund an art gallery for his son. On one condition: the family name must not appear on the door. So in 1928, a gallery opens in Paris without a single Dior anywhere on the sign, and the shy young man with no training turns out to have an extraordinary eye. He shows Picasso. He shows Braque and Matisse. He shows a young Salvador Dali. He is 23, and he is standing in a small Paris room, selling the future of European art. For about 3 years, Christian Dior has exactly the life he wanted. Then it comes apart, and it comes apart all at once. The crash that starts in New York in 1929 reaches the Dior fertilizer business within a few years, and it does not damage it. It erases it. Maurice Dior loses the company, the contracts, and the money. The Paris house goes. Les Rums, the pink villa on the cliff with his mother's garden, is sold off to the town of Granville itself. And with the family money gone, there is nothing holding the gallery up, so the gallery closes too. Inside that same short window, his brother Bernard is committed to an institution for mental illness and will spend most of the rest of his life confined. And then, his mother Madeleine dies. Christian Dior is in his mid-20s. In roughly 2 years, he loses the fortune, the houses, the gallery, his brother, and his mother. And it is still not finished with him. A few years later, he contracts tuberculosis, and he cannot afford to treat it. Friends have to club together and pay to send him to the Balearic Islands to recover in the sun, because he does not have the money himself. He comes back to Paris with no business, no inheritance, no qualification, and no trade. What he has is a pencil, and a sentence a woman told him when he was 14. So he starts drawing hats. This is the part the perfume advertisements leave out. In the middle of the 1930s, the man whose name now sits above shop fronts from Tokyo to New York is walking Paris with a folder under his arm, selling sketches one at a time to milliners for a handful of francs each. 10 francs a drawing, by most accounts. Enough for a meal. He sleeps on the floors of friends' apartments. By every standard the family he came from believed in, he is a failure in his 30s. But the drawings keep selling. And in 1938, one of the houses stops buying them one at a time and hires him properly. He works for the couturier Robert Piguet, then for the larger house of Lucien Lelong. And for the first time, Christian Dior is inside the machine of Paris couture, learning how a dress is actually built. Not sketched. Built. Toile, pattern, seam, structure. He is over 40 before he truly learns his trade. Then, in 1946, a man called Marcel Boussac sends for him. Boussac is the richest textile manufacturer in France. They call him the King of Cotton. He owns mills, newspapers, and racehorses, and he wants to buy a failing couture house and install a designer in it. He offers the job to Dior. Dior says no. Understand what that means. He is past 40. He has been broke for 15 years. The wealthiest man in French textiles is offering him security, and he turns it down flat because he does not want to run somebody else's house. He wants his own name over the door. It is the most reckless thing this frightened, cautious man ever does. And before he commits to any of it, he goes to see a clairvoyant. Her name was Madame Delahaye. Dior consulted her about the Boussac offer, as he would consult her about almost every serious decision for the rest of his life. And by his own telling, while he was still hesitating in the street, he stumbled on a piece of metal in the road, bent down and picked it up, and found it was shaped like a star. That is what settled it. Not the money, the star. There is one more thing about 1946. His father Maurice, the man who forbade him architecture and made him hide the family name off his own gallery door, dies that year. He never sees a single Dior collection. In December, the House of Dior opens at 30 Avenue Montaigne, in a gray stone building with pale gray salons and a curving staircase. On the 12th of February, 1947, he shows his first collection. It is not a fashion show. It is a detonation. The jackets are cut tight and sculpted at the waist. The hips are padded out hard. The skirts drop almost to the ankle and swing with a weight nobody has seen in years, because some of them carry close to 20 yards of fabric in a single skirt. The editor of Harper's Bazaar, Carmel Snow, watches the models sweep past her and says it out loud in the salon. It is such a new look. The phrase is around the world inside a week. Christian Dior, who had nothing at 40, is the most talked about man in fashion at 42. Hold on to that moment, because it is the last good one he gets for a while. The triumph you just watched is about to become the ugliest year of his life. Within months, women are attacking his clothes in the street with their hands. Here is what the newsreels do not dwell on. Europe in 1947 is still short of everything, and cloth is rationed. And into that, Dior sends out skirts using 20 yards of fabric apiece. The reaction is immediate, and it is violent. In America, women organize. They form clubs, sign petitions, and picket the department stores, refusing to be told by a Frenchman that everything already hanging in their wardrobes is worthless. In France, it turns physical. During a photo shoot in the streets of Montmartre, market women spot the models in their long Dior skirts and set on them. They surround them in the road. They grab handfuls of fabric, and they tear the clothes off the models' bodies in daylight, in front of the photographer. Politicians call for the look to be banned outright as an obscene waste of material. Editorials call it an insult to ordinary people. And in the middle of it is a soft-spoken, painfully shy man who is horrified by conflict of any kind. He does not fight back. He does not answer any of it. He simply keeps producing. And then the money starts arriving in quantities nobody was ready for. By 1949, by some accounts, the House of Dior alone is responsible for around 3/4 of everything French couture exports. One house, one man, 2 years into the business. American stores buy the patterns and copy the silhouette down every price level until factory girls in Ohio wear a diluted version of a Paris original. The shape he drew in a rented salon becomes, for roughly a decade, simply what a woman looks like. He opens in New York. He licenses the name onto stockings, ties, scarves, and perfume, and in doing so, more or less invents the modern luxury brand, the machine where the name earns far more than the clothes ever could. At its height, the house runs 28 separate workshops and employs well over 1,000 people. And every one of those people is waiting on the nerves of one man. Because here is the thing about Christian Dior. The empire could not afford to advertise. He was terrified, not of failure in the abstract, of the actual moment when the doors of the salon at Avenue Montaigne opened and the buyers and editors sat down to judge him. He could not watch his own shows. He hid from them. He would sit out of sight on that curving staircase, listening to the applause through a wall, or shut himself in a back room and wait for somebody to come and tell him whether he had survived. And the schedule never stopped. 2 collections a year, every year, for 10 years. Each one expected to change the shape of women worldwide, each one carrying the wages of over 1,000 people and the money of the king of cotton. So to manage it, he did not reach for a business advisor. He reached for the clairvoyant. Madame Delahaye was consulted before collections. By numerous accounts, he would not send a collection out into the world without her reading first. And when the cards came back wrong, he was genuinely shaken. He kept his lucky star. He had Lily of the Valley, his mother's flower from the garden at Les Roms, sewn secretly into the hems of dresses for protection. Models were told which one of them had to walk out first. Dates were chosen, and dates were avoided. The most powerful commercial force in fashion, running the biggest couture house on earth, was privately a frightened man from Normandy, asking a fortune teller for permission to continue. And there is one detail that tells you what all of it was really about. With the money, he bought a chateau in Provence, not in Paris, in the same quiet corner of the south of France where his ruined father had ended up after losing everything. He had gone back and bought the ground his family fell on. He grew heavy. He grew more reclusive. And in the autumn of 1957, exhausted, he went to Italy to rest. Montecatini, a thermal spa town in Tuscany full of grand old hotels and people taking cures. Christian Dior arrives to lose weight and to stop for a few days, being Christian Dior. On the 24th of October, 1957, he dies of a heart attack. He is 52. The circumstances have been argued over ever since, and the accounts genuinely differ. Some say he collapsed after a game of cards. Some say he choked on a fishbone at dinner and his heart gave out. What is not in dispute is that it was sudden, that he was among strangers in a foreign town, and that the largest fashion house in the world found out by telephone. Now go back to that field in Granville. A boy of 14 holds out his hand and is told 3 things: that he will lose all his money, that women will be the making of him, that through women he will earn enormously and travel enormously. He lost the fortune. He lost the houses. He was destitute at 30, selling hat drawings for coins. Then he dressed the women of the world and made himself one of the wealthiest men in France. Every part of it came true. That is why he never let it go. That is why a man who could reshape the female silhouette across an entire decade could not walk into his own salon without asking a clairvoyant first. He was not a superstitious man who happened to succeed. He was a man who had been told the future once, and then watched, year after year, as it arrived exactly on schedule. And she never told him how much time he would get. 10 years. That is all there was between the first collection and the spa town. They brought his body back to France. The funeral drew crowds into the streets of Paris, and the coffin was covered in Lily of the Valley, his mother's flower, the one he had spent a decade sewing in secret into the hems of his dresses. What remained was almost too big to stop. The house did not close. A 21-year-old assistant named Yves Saint Laurent was pushed out in front of the salon within weeks to take over the biggest couture house in the world, and the pressure that followed Dior to Italy transferred straight on to him. That is its own dark story. The name kept going. Today, Christian Dior sits inside the largest luxury group on earth, worth many tens of billions, sold in thousands of stores in every major city on a scale the man himself would not recognize. And Les Rums, the pink and gray villa on the cliff above the sea, the house his father lost, is a museum devoted to him now. The town that bought it off a ruined family gives tours of his mother's garden. That is the whole shape of it. Christian Dior built the most recognizable name in the history of fashion out of the wreckage of losing absolutely everything, and he got to keep it for 10 years, and he spent most of those 10 years hiding on a staircase asking a fortune teller whether he was allowed to carry on. The empire survived. The man did not. So decide. Was that prophecy a gift, or was it a sentence? Every word of it came true. It built him an empire, and it still had him dead at 52. Put your answer in the comments and argue it properly, because I read them. Subscribe. There is another name coming, and it is bigger than this one.